Isn't it amazing how much crap is built on trying to impress people we don't know, will never know? Likes, comments, external validation, or even just people walking past us on the street. We want them to see our designer clothes, our necklaces, our shoes, our cars, Teslas. Everyone's buying a Tesla now, and even though I think it's a great car, it's pretty much the best car on the market. A lot of people are buying it just to have a perceived level of status increased. It's really kind of the cornerstone of a lot of our economy, and in a way it's sad. In a way it's not going to go away. But for you, if you can understand the draw and understand why you do the things you do, why do you want to spend money on things that are basically meant to show other people, your perceived status, or that you have money, or that you've spent this money in this thing, or whatever. Because when you can understand that, you can make better decisions. And generally, for most people, I think it's a waste of time and money to be so concerned with the opinions of other people. And then you get into things like social media, where it is dangerous and where it can suck you in, and where you see all these YouTube stars, all these Instagrammers, whatever, about people like quitting social media or getting burnt out or whatever. It's a real problem, and it causes real psychological problems. And for our younger generation, I'm worried and I'm scared because we don't even know how much of an effect it's going to have on us in the next 20, 30, 40 years. I suspect it's going to be big, and there's going to be some major reckoning. But for you, I guess the point of the video would be to think about the way you spend your money and even map it out, right? Go in your credit card statement and just look at your expenses. Track the big things you've bought that have basically been more for show than utility. Any car can pretty much get you to the same place. And there are some subtle differences in functionality, and having a truck if you move things or whatever. There's certain things that have utility, and I'm all for utility. In fact, I like spending money on things that have a lot of utility and that are also good quality. They're going to last me, so I don't have to keep buying or worrying about that thing. That I'm all for. But all the other stuff, the billions and billions and billions of dollars spent on cosmetic surgery, makeup, like designer, really expensive things like a $2,000 purse. That is utterly preposterous. That is absolutely absurd. Let's just say this is how it should be. This would be my opinion. Until you have the passive income from investments in business or things that you don't have to go and spend your hours, until you can make enough money in a single month to pay for a purchase, like a $2,000 purse, for example, then you are acting like a poor person. Only poor people will make purchases like that. A rich person that has hundreds of thousands of dollars coming in every month because they have so much money, they have investments in business, whatever, and they want to buy a $2,000 purse or even a Lamborghini or whatever, that's completely different. It's the people that go and just rent a Lambo for like $1,000 a month when they're making a few $1,000s a month in income, and they do it because they want to impress people or whatever. It's just, that's the backwards nonsense we have to watch out for. And I'm going to give you the biological reason for this. The reason we do this is because we have to impress people around us as a survival mechanism. We want to be in their good graces because it increases the likelihood that they'll share resources with us. It also increases the likelihood that we will have access to high quality mates. So these are basically mating signals, right? If our status moves up, even with members of the own sex, if our status moves up with a group, then our status actually moves up with the opposite sex as well, because it shows you're a quality person, people like you, and there must be something there. And so that's why we really seek approval from both sexes, no matter what our goals are, because we are trying to kind of raise our status in the minds of others, which has certain advantages and which reduces the likelihood that you'd be kicked out of the tribe and kind of fend for yourself in the wild, which would basically have been a death sentence for our hunter-gatherers. Our hunter-gatherers survived as small hunter-gatherer tribes for hundreds of thousands of years. That's how we evolved. We evolved through group selection. So if you were kicked out of your group, the tribe, it was pretty much a death sentence. There's no way you would be able to hunt successfully and basically live in the harsh wilderness by yourself. It just wouldn't happen. And so you were constantly making sure that you were kind of staying in the good graces of your tribe and people in the tribe. You wouldn't want to fall out of favor for even one person, but even more, because then you get things like gossip, and this person can kind of work against that person. And you just see, if you watch any reality TV show that has groups of people, you can see the nonsense that humans succumb to in that setting, especially when there's rewards at play and you can win things, and we get very competitive. Actually, surprisingly, our ancestors were very egalitarian, meaning they prevented anyone from rising up or anything. Like there weren't chiefs or things like that. That's kind of a modern invention when we started having things like resources and we started settling down. But the true hunter-gatherer is a very egalitarian society where we would be nomadic, we would roam around, and everybody would share everything. No one person would have a say over the others. It would be kind of a group effort. And if any one person kind of was ostracized by the group or didn't fit in, they could be expelled potentially, which was a death sentence. So these are why, like, you need to understand where you come from and understand your biology and your evolutionary past, because it explains everything. Like the reason people can be violent, can be sexist, can be racist, can succumb to tribalism, things like that, right? It's explained by our evolutionary past. The reason we acquire a bunch of resources and we want fancy things is explained by our evolutionary past. There's always a mechanism that's based on nature and the way we are designed by nature that explains why we are. So that would be point number 2. Obviously, don't buy stupid shit. And until you have disposable income that can basically pay for, and one month's of disposable income could pay for the $2,000 purse or the Lambo, whatever, you are a poor person if you buy it and you're making a huge mistake. You should be investing that money, saving that money. Then point 2 would be just understanding where you come from. Understand where you come from because it explains everything you do today, everything you feel. It explains why you're jealous. It explains why you compete. It explains why you feel the need to shame people because you're trying to actually bring them down. In fact, this is a really good one I want to cover real quick. So the reason humans shame people is because, like I said, in the true egalitarian hunter-gatherer society, everyone had to be as equal as possible. That is how our ancestors survived for the bulk of human history. If any one person raised up in value, it would decrease the chances that that person could hoard resources or hoard mates or do whatever like that, and it would reduce the chances that everyone else in the group would have for surviving. It would reduce their mating opportunities, and it would reduce the chances they would even have to survive, because if he started acquiring resources, or she or whatever, then this person would have less of a chance at getting resources and getting mates, and that just didn't fly. Our ancestors learned kind of through natural selection and living in the harsh wild that the best way was to be as equal as possible. So when you shame people or blame people or whatever because they have a perceived higher level than you, which is a lot of what our culture is based on, really, it is a result of your biology, and it is something that you would do naturally. Just like groups fall into groupthink, the reason certain groups fall into groupthink, it's always like an us versus them mentality. Well, that's a tribal instinct that we have as humans. When we were a group, and this was our band of people, any outsider to our group would be considered a threat. Because in the wild, if you didn't know a group of humans, they could be violent, they could be not criminals, there wasn't laws back then. There could be cannibals, for example, and a lot of times what they would want to do when tribes come together, they would actually want to try to steal the women and children, because that was like a resource. A lot of stuff, a lot to think about. So I know a little bit rambly. I just wanted to kind of rap about this, and I hope you find this video useful. Make sure you like and comment. Make sure you think about these topics in your own life. Find ways that you can look back to our evolutionary past to explain why you do today, why you act the way you act, why the way you think, etc. Definitely like and subscribe, and leave some comments below.